the major differences that I made in my first two attempts and the last two attempts is what I would want to talk about today, particularly in terms of prelims, ethics, essay, interview for sure, some focus on optional, and as the main core idea of this talk today is to devise a detailed strategy for 1.5 years. That's what it is I'm looking forward to. First phase, suppose we take the first phase for 3 months, March, April and May. The first thing that we need to do right here is to understand what UPSC wants from us. We do need to understand, we do need to start with the basic books. We do need to read NCRTs, but I'll come to them later.
Yeah.
So why not understand that there has to be a certain input for the level of output that you're getting. So what we need to do first of all is to just go through. Okay, so namaste everyone, whomsoever is present, and thank you so much for giving me this platform to interact with all of you. So 5 years is my journey, as sir already pointed this out. 2018 is when I completed my graduation and I started for UPSC preparation. I was targeting 2019 attempt and I gave my first attempt in 2019. I cleared prelims but could not clear mains. So that was a full stop then and there for 2019 attempt. Then 2020 के attempt के लिए I thought कि चलो ठीक है, mains prepared नहीं था. I'll prepare very well in 2020 attempt. 2020 attempt comes, I give prelims and I cannot go ahead. Prelims was the stopping point 2020 के attempt में.
Okay.
It was a major setback because I was expecting from myself कि कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, 2019 में तो उतनी पढ़ाई हो नहीं पाई थी, 2020 I'll be doing very well. So 2021 का attempt I gave, and in 2021 I reached till interview but did not get a rank. Once again, a major setback because I was expecting. I'm really sorry for the disturbance and
No
noise.
issues. We'll all manage. No issues.
Some officer training is just shifting his room upstairs.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So 2021 attempt, I reached till interview. I could not clear the exam. Once again, 2022 attempt is finally when I got All India rank 62. I made a lot of changes, particularly a lot changed between my first two attempts and my last two attempts. Comparing 2021 attempt and 2022 attempt, there were minor tweaks. I won't disagree क्योंकि हर बार कुछ ना कुछ गलती रह जाती है. Even if I see 2022 वाला attempt now, I would have a list of things that I could have corrected if I, God forbid, had to give another attempt. Thankfully, I don't have to. So the major differences that I made in my first two attempts and the last two attempts is what I would want to talk about today, particularly in terms of prelims, ethics, essay, interview for sure, some focus on optional, and as the main core idea of this talk today is to devise a detailed strategy for 1.5 years. That's what it is I'm looking forward to.
Perfect. That sums up what we are here for. Just a quick show of hands for the Janta who's in. How many of you guys are going to attempt 2024? I just want to know how many of the prelims attemptees do we have. Just type a yes on the chat. How many of you are going to attempt in 2024? Okay. This webinar and the series of such webinars are specifically only for the 1.5 year prep guys. And I'm assuming we have 100 odd so guys here, but we'll come to you guys like last May. Pehle, let's go with the flow, Vaishnavi, what we've decided. So yeah, over to you. The floor is over to you.
Okay, so as per the detailed plan, I'll just be sharing, and this is the disclaimer goes like this, that these are not the things that I did from my first attempt. Had I done that, most likely I would have cleared it in the first attempt itself. So these are my learnings over the years when I look back and I introspect ki kya galtiyan hui thi. So these are my mistakes, some of my learnings, some things that I did right as well. So this is the basic disclaimer. Apart from that, बहुत सारी जगहों पे there would be things that I would say कि I'll explain them in a separate category, under a separate category. So I won't be explaining them under this entire 1.5 years detailed plan. Now I'll begin. Okay. So particularly when I look back, I feel कि we need to divide our preparation. Because when we start our preparation, most of us are at the equal level. We know very basic things. Even if someone had been into reading newspapers and reading books, even then the level is very, relatively low as compared to what is needed for UPSC. So the level of preparation in the beginning is the type of preparation that is needed in the beginning is very different from the type of preparation that is needed at the end. So suppose we're starting today, suppose we're starting in March 2024, we can divide our preparation, and we're targeting next year's prelims. We can divide our preparation in 6 phases. Another disclaimer is that I've jotted down a lot of notes because I did not want to miss out on things.
That's okay. Do you want me to share the screen with the Excel that we made together, which we'll give to everyone or it's okay, you will right now just narrate it and then later on we can give the Excel?
Yes, I think the second option works well because then it might create confusion and it might also distract a lot of people who would go into reading the Excel.
Perfect. No, makes sense. Completely fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. So first phase, suppose we take the first phase for 3 months, March, April and May. The first thing that we need to do right here is to understand what UPSC wants from us. We do need to understand, we do need to start with the basic books. We do need to read NCRTs, but I'll come to them later. The first thing that we need to do is to understand what UPSC wants. And how would you know it? The best source is PYQs. I'm not asking you to understand the PYQs. None of us does that in the first instance. We just need to read the PYQs. And why am I saying it is, suppose you start reading art and architecture, and I'll give my examples from the mistakes that I had made. The first thing that I started with was reading art and architecture. This was my 2018 preparation for 2019 attempt. Now, I had never opened PYQs for at least 5 months of my preparation. 5 to 6 months of my preparation had passed and I had not opened PYQs. So since it was the beginning of my preparation, I was just reading art and architecture and I was enjoying it. Very fine. But if we look into how many questions are asked, we do need to understand that this is a very lengthy exam with a very lengthy syllabus. And you will get a lot of opportunities to learn and read new things. And I'm not saying that sit with all the PYQs in one day and read. Just give 20-25 minutes every day to scan through PYQs. For 15 minutes, go through prelims papers. For 15-20 minutes, pick up any GS paper, and you'll find it very easily subject-wise PYQs. You can find them online. It's very easily available. And most of the things that I'll be telling are very easily available online. You can make good use of Telegram channels, good use of online freely available sources.
Right.
So just download subject-wise PYQs, go through them. So this is the first thing to do. And disclaimer is you will not understand most of the things. That is perfectly fine. But you will understand.
And you're talking about prelims or mains? PYQs?
Prelims are both. Okay. So for 15-20 minutes, go through 10-15 prelims questions every day. Go through 2-3 mains questions. Just read them. Understand if I'm reading Mughal or the Delhi Sultanate period, or if I'm reading art and architecture, if I'm reading IVC. So what is the type of questions that UPSC is asking? Even if you read the entire Indus Valley Civilization and you've not gone through the PYQs, you'll just take it as an input. You would not know how to implement that knowledge or the information that you're given. So this is the first thing to do. The second thing is reading NCRTs and basics. So I'll be very honest with the amount of NCRTs that I had read. There are many people who suggest to read a lot of NCRTs, and everyone has their own way of learning, of understanding, but I can tell what all NCRTs or the basic books that I had read. So I had read the Tamil Nadu Board NCRT for history, R.S. Sharma for history. This was a bit of duplication, but I found the medieval India covered well in the Tamil Nadu Board history NCRT.
Okay.
Tamil Nadu Board history book, sorry. Apart from that, class 9th and 10th geography is what I read. I did not read from class 6 to 12th. This is it for NCRTs and the very basic books. Spectrum for modern history, no other book. Lakshmikant for polity. Apart from that, economics was my optional. So I did not read any NCRT for that or any basic book. But for most people, economics is an issue. So please pick up a basic economics book. From what I have heard, class 12th NCRT is good, but I'm not very sure about it. How much of it will help you. So please find a very good basic economics material so that you understand the basics. Economics is something that you cannot ignore, and if you think that you are on the weaker side of the subject, you will have to work hard from the very beginning, because in prelims, in mains, questions will come. So we cannot ignore. This is the basic. Apart from that, in environment, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was some aberration, I think, someone unmuted.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
No problem. Thank you. For environment, once again, Shankar is something that I had read, but very smartly, just pick up very few topics. And how would you know which topics to read? Once again, PYQs. Go through environment PYQs, see, okay, this is a particular topic that often gets repeated. This is what I need to understand. A lot of times you don't need to read the entire bulky book. You just have to read some basics. You just need to pick out the basics. For example, if a question is asked on carbon cycle or on phosphorus cycle, we should know what these cycles are. Some very basic things. We just need to cover those things. At this stage, in the first 3 months, and this is all the books I think that are sufficient for the first 3 months.
So PYQs and these basic books that you mentioned, right?
Yes, for now, for the first 3 months. But how are you going to read these books? For now, just reading and understanding the concept is okay. Trust me, it will take you 3 months to understand the difference between what fundamental rights, what DPSPs are, what fundamental rights are, what fundamental duties are, parliament कैसे काम करती है, geography के सारे concepts, मतलब currents कैसे form हो रहे हैं, clouds कैसे form हो रहे हैं, all these things. It will take time to understand. All of us take time. स्पेक्ट्रम को एक बार पढ़ के समझने में ही आराम से 1 महीना लग जाता है. If you're doing it with other things, if you're reading only spectrum for the entire day, that's a different story. But personally, my way of studying used to be कि एक दिन में कुछ अलग अलग चीजें कवर करो, so that I have diversity. 1 घंटा हिस्ट्री पढ़ लिया, 1 घंटा पॉलिटी पढ़ लिया, 1 घंटा करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ लिया, ऐसे. So these would be the 2 main things for the first 3 months. Apart from that, please start reading newspapers. I'm not saying to read the entire newspaper. Some people do have the habit of reading newspapers. You can go through them completely. It's fine. But suppose you're not getting time as of now, because it would just be the beginning. You'll just be picking up one concept and will be taking about an hour. Maybe कभी ऐसा होगा कि आपको ocean currents कैसे form होते हैं, flow करते हैं, वो समझने में 1 घंटा लग जाए. So it's okay that you're not getting time to read newspapers in the first 3 months. It's totally fine. But you should also not ignore it totally. Pick up the newspaper. Maybe just go through the editorial, because editorials would help you in writing essays, in making viewpoints, in understanding what is going on in the country. If it is a very important news article, it will be covered in editorial some way or the other. And picking up one newspaper works. Personally, I used to read Hindu. I've heard that Indian Express is equally good, but I can't comment on it because I had not read it. If you love economics, and suppose economics is your optional, because it was my optional, so I'll be just adding things. Mint helps. You don't need to read it completely, just the first page and the editorial. It would be enough to help you for your economics optional, at least in the first stages.
Even for the GS economics, you would recommend Mint? Even for economics GS, would you recommend Mint?
No. Mint only if economics is your optional. It's totally fine to not read Mint if economics is not your optional. Why am I saying it is important for optional people? Because you get a lot of new ideas on what is going on, and it helps a lot in your paper too. So if someone...
There's a guy, Vivek Kaul, who writes really good economic stuff on Mint. He writes, right?
Absolutely.
And he has 3 set of books, Easy Money, I think. Phenomenal writer. So great. Exactly. And he uses a lot of pop culture references to make things very palatable, and you kind of understand the whole concepts, and helps in retention. So great recommendation there.
Thank you. But now, if you're not reading newspapers every day, here's one thing that you have to do. You have to give at least 1 hour every day for current affairs. What I used to do is that I used to read Vision ka monthly magazine. Just sit with it, flip through it for 1 hour. You can pick up any monthly magazine. Almost all monthly magazines available online or offline are almost equivalent. I used to read from Vision, so I'm just giving that reference. Now, one very important thing in these 3 months that you have to do is look for your optional. First thing is, please select your optional very wisely. Why am I saying this? Is because personally, when I have met a lot of a lot of rank holders now,
Hmm.
uh, all most people who have given multiple attempts have
Hmm.
a sad story with their optional.
Yeah.
So please select your optional very wisely. Don't waste time on something that you think you can do very well about, but you won't be able to
Hmm.
do. मजा
Hmm.
नहीं आ
Hmm.
रहा है, मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे हैं, समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है, बस फैंसी
Hmm.
सा लगता है, टॉपर ने लिया है तो ले लेते हैं. Please, these things don't work. Trust me, these things don't work. It's 500 marks.
You were consistent with economics as an optional throughout, right? Or did you also change?
No, I was consistent. मेरा
Okay.
graduation was economics honors, so I was
Okay.
consistent with economics. But personally, I'll say that with economics also, I face certain problems. First is कि guidance is not available, notes are not available, you are on your own to make notes. It is a very dynamic subject, so at least paper 2 तो पूरा current affairs पे based होता है. Test
अच्छा.
series is not available. तो ये थोड़ी थोड़ी problems आती हैं economics में, but thankfully I had my notes from my graduation. My interest in economics तो कुछ कुछ अपने आप हो गया, थोड़ा सा टॉपर्स नोट्स अवेलेबल थे, वो सबसे हेल्प हो गई. But I was
Hmm.
largely on my in economics. So what
Okay.
I'm trying to put up is कि please choose an optional. And if you think that you will be very busy with your GS and you won't be
Hmm.
having that drive to do everything on
Hmm.
your own, so please
Hmm.
select an optional जिसके लिए material is available, जिसके लिए
Hmm.
guidance is available, test series is available. It is okay to delegate some of your work,
Right. Right.
people,
Makes sense.
and this is what we have to
Even
do.
even what you're saying about the books, right? You rightly mentioned that do not get lost in the digression of it. PYQ नहीं समझ सकते लोग easily. In fact, the trends जो अब PYQ are more nuanced now. Political PYQs, I'm sure you'll discuss, are more philosophical oriented than what they
Yeah,
used to be, right? So it's completely fine. People do get lost, and we tell them that तुम ये notes ले लो, and then make your own notes, but start from a better reference. And completely agree.
So, one thing, since you mentioned, sir, I'll obviously just repeat this. Do not think that you have to reinvent the wheel every time. There is a
Hmm.
lot of topper notes available, but also
Hmm.
the disclaimer also is that don't get lost. Don't start reading all
Yeah.
the topper.
Yeah.
You pick up a topper of a particular year, go see his or her mark sheet, see if they have performed well in a particular subject, if they have updated their, if they have uploaded their notes. It's very common.
Hmm.
Almost all the toppers make Telegram channels or write blogs. They upload their notes. Please copy from them, cheat from them, tell them a big
Yeah.
thank you when you meet them in service that ma'am or sir, we copied from your notes. I was a huge fan of your notes. You helped me a lot. Do all that. Cheat, copy. So
Makes
select
sense.
your option very wisely. This is the first thing to say. Uh, Even if you have to go through the base, if you're suppose you're going to select an optional which you have not read in your graduation, so go through the basic books, go through certain PYQs, see if you are able to at least read it for half an hour or 1 hour. Because trust me, optional is something that will take a lot of your time.
Hmm.
And this is something, and another thing, this is not something that I'm the first one to say. Almost everyone says this कि optional can make or break your attempt because GS में almost सबके marks at par हो जाते हैं. If someone is repeatedly writing mains, it means
Hmm.
कि they at least know a lot about GS. So if you will compare topper mark sheets, at least people who have performed very well in terms of marks, you will see कि GS के marks almost same आ रहे हैं सबके. कहीं
Hmm.
उन्होंने एथिक्स में या एसए में या ऑप्शनल में बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया होगा, सो दे हैव
Right.
achieved a good rank. So please, optional is very important. I think I've covered for phase 1. This is for the 3 months. I'll go to phase 2 for the next 4 months, June to September. Is there anything that I've missed or something you want to discuss before I move to the
No,
next
I
phase?
think, but you've made the first 3 months very crucial by including all the the basics. So most of the people, aspirants who come to us, and we tell them the same thing, but they kind of just go heavy on NCRTs because PYQ sometimes is not easy to fathom what trends have changed. Like for example, and I take these sessions. One of them was key even the species. Earlier, the questions used to be very simple: endangered species and उनके habitat. But अभी ये सवाल आ रहे हैं कि what of these are nocturnal animals and whatnot, right? So if you at least have gone through the PYQs, you at least know what not to miss while you're making your own notes. You might make
True.
your notes and UPSC उस trend से ही निकल चुका है, or for the last 3 years is asking something else, and then you have to go and add your notes again. It's whole lot of jugglery which is not palatable for everyone, or easy for everyone. So great, first 3 months are very crucial, including the optional. Uh, that's something I think most people miss on the optional because they have a very vague idea. And also, one thing I want you to touch more on, newspaper reading is generally because you haven't covered your static as well. And now newspaper is very dynamic because it's not only for UPSC Janta. How do you make sense of, you, like you said, you don't need to go heavy on newspaper from the day one, but most of the people do, and then they have to go back in static, and वो बहुत ही discoordinated prep हो जाती है कि अभी बैंक SLR पढ़ा ही नहीं है और suddenly RBI has done something on the news, and then so I think that I agree what you said. You should completely avoid that. What we do is कि अपन तो weekend पे ही पढ़ाते हैं whatever has happened. Like news comes and OPED comes and then some masala बन के कुछ तो concrete होता है उसको weekend में पढ़ लो. Like you said rightly, do not spend daily time if you cannot afford to do so. Great.
Just to add on the newspaper thing, since you touched, and thank you for touching that point. This is very common. If you're not understanding an editorial, it is very common. All of us have this problem. नहीं समझ में आएगा कि KS पुट्टस्वामी जजमेंट क्या है, आर्टिकल 21 का वो मेंशन कर रहे हैं, 19 का मेंशन कर रहे हैं, आईपीसी के सेक्शंस का मेंशन कर रहे हैं, नहीं समझ आएगा. इट इज टोटली फाइन. नन ऑफ अस हैज रेड दोस थिंग्स. जस्ट वेट, जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट, एंड इफ समथिंग इज गेटिंग रिपीटेड, बार बार एडिटोरियल में आ रहा है कोई चीज, कोई टॉपिक, तो उस पे यू कैन गो थ्रू अ स्मॉल वीडियो. यूट्यूब पे बहुत सारे वीडियोस आर अवेलेबल. समवन मस्ट हैव मेड अ स्मॉल वीडियो. जस्ट सपोज you're taking a small break, go for 5 minutes, take a walk, watch that video, small video for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, understand ki wo topic kya hai. Even if you have a vague understanding of that idea right now, it's totally fine. And this is the reason, as you mentioned, ki logo ko nahi samajh aata hai starting mein ki abhi SLR kya hai, CRR kya hai. This is why I mentioned ki current affairs magazines can help, because what they do is, if a topic is important currently, to wo uska static bhi uske sath dete hain. So you don't have to go and search for it. Suppose SLR news में आया, तो if you open a monthly magazine and read one page of SLR, तो उसमें they'll explain कि SLR क्या है, कैसे changes हो रहे हैं, तो वो आपके दिमाग में बैठ जाता है, and you don't have to do that work. So I personally feel कि एक mix and match करना चाहिए, at least in the first 3 months, जब आपको नहीं समझ आ रहा है. Reading newspapers एक मतलब 1 घंटा दे दो, आधा घंटा दे दो, even if you can't read more than 2 editorials in a day, totally fine. Abhi is the time to make your base for the first 3 months. Make your base so that you can understand the newspapers in the next phases of your preparation.
Okay, so just one question before we go to phase 2. After first 3 months, how do you ensure that you're on the right track? Like, should you attempt PYQs again since you've covered the basic work? If someone wants to, just be sure कि मैंने सब सही किया है practically exam worthy level पे, is there something you would suggest them to do?
For now, I personally feel कि अगर 3 months के बाद आपको बेसिक ज्योग्राफी के कॉन्सेप्ट्स समझ आ रहे हैं, मतलब यू जस्ट रिवाइज योर नोट्स एंड मेक श्योर कि आपके माइंड में ज्योग्राफी जो आपने पढ़ा है वो दिमाग में आ रहा है. यू पिक अप सर्टेन मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री के PYQs. सपोज आपने स्पेक्ट्रम पढ़ ली एक बार, मतलब ऑब्वियसली यू डोंट हैव टू जस्ट रीड, यू हैव टू also understand it, keep revising thoda sa mind mein. Of course you're not making notes, you should not make notes for now, but if you can just read the PYQs and feel कि अच्छा ठीक है, this is something that I had read, यार ये समझ आ रहा है, या फिर now if you go back to that topic, suppose करो आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा गया कि जो 1909 में आया या फिर पिट्स इंडिया एक्ट आया, any of the acts जिन पे क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए, you see those questions, you get this idea कि ये कहीं तो पढ़ा था. Obviously आपको याद नहीं होगा अभी कि क्या चेंजेस आ गए. You go back to that topic, you recall it, and if you can solve that question and you can recall कि हाँ ठीक है ये कहीं तो पढ़ा था, ये समझ में आ रहा है, then you are on the right track. Apart from that, अगर आपको थोड़ा थोड़ा न्यूज़पेपर अब समझ में आने लगा है कि आर्टिकल 21 का मेंशन हो रहा है, तो आपको पता है कि व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 21, आर्टिकल 19 का मेंशन हो रहा है, आपको पता है वो क्या है. और अगर आपने अपना ऑप्शनल सेलेक्ट कर लिया अभी एंड उसका मटेरियल सेलेक्ट कर लिया है, तो आई थिंक फर्स्ट 3 मंथ आपके काफी अच्छे से बीत गए, बिकॉज मोस्ट पीपल वेस्ट दीज 3 मंथ्स. I had also wasted the first 3 months just going in depth of topics that were not even necessary for the exam. तो I think first 3 months पे बहुत ज्यादा heavy भी नहीं जाना है अपने आप पे, बहुत ज्यादा expectations भी नहीं रखनी है, but ये भी नहीं करना है कि you're just randomly purchasing stuff and reading it. Please keep your sources limited. ये almost हर
Sure.
topper बोलता है, and I will be repeating it again and again. Please keep your sources limited. क्योंकि one thing is, I don't remember who said this, because I also used to watch a lot of topper videos, but one of the toppers said this, and this is something that I had marked in golden words. If there is something that you know you won't be reading it for the second time, then it is not worth reading for UPSC का preparation. Because it is not possible कि आप एग्जाम में जाकर तो भी आपने 6 महीना पहले कुछ पढ़ा और आप उसको लिख लो. It is not possible. Ask anyone who has written an attempt. You have to read that thing 10 times, 15 times, ताकि वो एग्जाम प्रेशर सिचुएशन में आपके पेन से निकल सके. We just have to improvise, है ना. तो एक बार पढ़ना, आप सोचो 10 किताबें पढ़ लेंगे, क्या फायदा होने वाला है उससे. वो तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तो वही रहेगा ना, फंडामेंटल राइट्स तो वही रहेंगे, ड्यूटीज तो वही रहेंगी, डीपीएसपी वही रहेगा. So read it from one book, understand it, make your notes. खत्म हो गई बात, उसको रिवाइज कर लो उसके आगे.
Perfect. I think phase 1's greatly done now. Let's go to the phase 2.
So phase 2 is June to September. I'll start with optional in this. See, these are, in my opinion, perhaps यहाँ से जो middle वाला phase है ना, phase 2 and phase 3, this is the most crucial time of your preparation. Now is the time जब you are ready कि आपको ऑप्शनल में क्या पढ़ना है, आपने मटेरियल खोज लिया है क्या पढ़ना है, एक बार आपने स्किम कर लिया पीवाईक्यूज एंड यू आर वेरी फास्ट. तो मेरे साथ एक प्रॉब्लम और भी हुई थी. इवन आई वाज वेरी श्योर कि आई टेक इकोनॉमिक्स, फिर भी डाउट होता था. 2-3 महीने एक बुक पढ़ ली, फिर डाउट हो रहा है ये लेना चाहिए नहीं लेना चाहिए, मतलब छोड़ देना चाहिए, इज इट डिफिकल्ट, मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे लोगों के. तो जो पहले के 3 महीने है ना, इवन इफ यू टेक 3 months टू डिसाइड कि क्या ऑप्शनल लेना है, इट्स टोटली फाइन. बट वंस यू हैव डिसाइडेड एंड नाउ व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट रीडिंग ऑन इट, तो आपके माइंड में डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए कि ये छोड़ दें क्या, चेंज कर ले, मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे, ये नहीं हो रहा, वो नहीं हो रहा, वो टॉपर ने ये बोल दिया. देन फॉरगेट एवरीथिंग. ऑलमोस्ट हर ऑप्शनल से टॉपर्स निकलते हैं. तो इफ यू आर फाइंडिंग इट गुड टू रीड, इफ यू आर रेडी टू पुट इन द एफर्ट, मार्क्स तो आ जाएंगे, कोई इतनी बड़ी बात भी नहीं है. नाउ ये 4 months में ना, please understand your optional very well. I personally don't think that there is any optional जिसको आप बिना समझे या सिर्फ मगअप करके या फिर सिर्फ सतह लेवल पे चीजें करके अच्छे मार्क्स ला सकते हैं. If you're getting 230-240 marks in your optional, even if you're getting very good marks in your GS ethics, तो वो आपका attempt break हो जाएगा. You have to cross basics है, मतलब even if you're performing very well in your GS, then also you have to target कि 260-270 plus है. And 270 plus is something I'm telling कि ये भी थोड़ा कम मार्क्स ही है ऑप्शनल के हिसाब से, दोनों पेपर मिलाकर. तो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड योर ऑप्शनल वेरी वेल नाउ. मतलब टॉपिक्स अब पढ़ना आप शुरू करिए. ये 4 months आर वेरी क्रूशियल. गिव अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम टू योर ऑप्शनल. अंडरस्टैंड योर ऑप्शनल. कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्या है वो आपके दिमाग में बिल्कुल इनग्रेन हो जाने चाहिए. आई विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स. यहाँ पे एक डिस्क्लेमर ये है कि दूसरे ऑप्शनल्स के लिए दूसरी स्ट्रेटजीज हो सकती हैं, बट वॉट एवर इज द ऑप्शनल, आई पर्सनली फील कि दिस इज द टाइम टू गिव टू योर कॉन्सेप्ट्स. इकोनॉमिक्स है अगर, तो अवॉइड योर नोट मेकिंग एट दिस स्टेज. वो बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी टेक्निकल सब्जेक्ट, तो यू विल टेक 4 months टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. एंड आई थिंक दिस गोज फॉर almost all the optionals, क्योंकि you will take some time to understand कि concepts क्या हैं. So avoid making notes for now. अभी भी इस stage में भी, तो I think this is for the optional इस वाले stage के लिए. इसके आगे you will have to go through your specific optional का strategy कि क्या करना है, कौन सी books चाहिए वगैरह वगैरह. Apart from this, see PYQ अभी तक आप पढ़ रहे थे तो आप बस उसको ऊपर से देख रहे थे. It's totally fine. But now since you have read your basics, again you have to go through PYQs. I personally feel कि अगर आप आधा घंटा everyday सिर्फ PYQ देखने के लिए रख दीजिए स्टार्टिंग से, तो एक टाइम ऐसा आएगा ना 3-4 महीने के बाद, when you are so comfortable with your questions that UPSC asks, कि मतलब you will start thinking about any topic that you come across in a way कि UPSC इससे कैसे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है. आपको आंसर नहीं आता होगा, आपको बहुत ज्यादा टॉपिक समझ में नहीं आएगा, बट यू विल थिंक कि अच्छा नहीं यूपीएससी इसको ऐसे लिंक कर सकता है, इस पे ये पूछ सकता है, इम्प्लीकेशंस क्या हो सकते हैं, वे फॉरवर्ड क्या हो सकता है. सो दैट्स व्हेन यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग इनटू द माइंड ऑफ द एग्जामिनर. नाउ इज द टाइम व्हेन यू शुड ट्राई टू लिंक द PYQs दैट यू हैव रेड एंड द टॉपिक्स दैट यू हैव आइदर रेड और यू आर रीडिंग नाउ, बिकॉज अभी क्या है, आपका बेस बन गया है. एंड जीएस में जो बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, हिस्ट्री आपने पढ़ लिया, पॉलिटी पढ़ लिया, इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ लिया, दिस इज द बेसिक दैट विल कम, दैट विल बी यूज्ड इन मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स. आप एसे लिखोगे, एथिक्स के आंसर्स लिखेंगे, and a major chunk of GS also comes from these basics. But there are other subjects as well जो कि GS में पूछे जाते हैं. Now is the time when you'll be covering those things. So now it should start making sense. This is a very good test of ki if you're going on the right track. Now the PYQs should start making sense कि अच्छा this is the question that is being asked क्योंकि ऐसा कुछ हुआ था, या फिर उस टाइम पे ये टॉपिक न्यूज में चल रहा था तो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में ये क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया, या फिर दिस इज हाउ इकोनॉमिक्स में क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. आई हैव सीन पीपल मेक बल्कि नोट्स ऑन CRR क्या है, SLR क्या है. द पॉइंट इज कि प्रीलिम्स में पूछ लेंगे वो CRR SLR, बट मेंस में तो नहीं पूछेंगे. इतना बल्कि नोट्स क्यों चाहिए आपको? तो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आपको कितना डेप्थ में जाना है, टेक्निकलिटी में कितना जाना है किसी भी चीज की, एंड यू वोंट अंडरस्टैंड इट अनलेस यू आर गोइंग थ्रू योर PYQs.
Makes sense.
सो यहाँ पे PYQs पे थोड़ा सा लेवल बढ़ाना है, बट टाइम ज्यादा नहीं देना है. वंस अगेन 20-25 मिनट्स, हाफ एन आवर एवरी डे, दैट्स इनफ. ऑप्शनल इज डन, PYQs इज डन. यहाँ पे आई थिंक GS में देर आर 5-6 स्मॉलर पोर्शंस ऑफ GS जिसको मोस्ट ऑफ अस अवॉइड, जैसे इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, साइंस एंड टेक, गवर्नेंस, और मेंस से रिलेटेड इकोनॉमिक्स एंड एनवायरनमेंट. सो पर्सनली आई वुड से कि ये जो भी टॉपिक्स है ना, आई was not in favor of reading a lot of books for these topics. I personally felt कि these are very dynamic topics जो कि काफी change होते रहते हैं, and a lot of, once again, a lot of coaching material, current affairs manuals, these are available जिसमें वो static और dynamic दोनों इतना cover कर लेते हैं कि you don't need to go through a lot of topics apart from whatever is given in that manual. So personally I used to use Mains 365 Vision का आता है, and it is once again freely available. एंड मेंस 365 की ही जैसे और भी ऐसे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं या ऑनलाइन मटेरियल है जो आपको मिल जाएगा, जहाँ पे दे पिक अप अ टॉपिक, दे कवर इट वेरी वेल. सो आई डिड नॉट रीड एनी बुक फॉर साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, आई डिड नॉट रीड एनी बुक फॉर इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस, आई डिड नॉट रीड एनी बुक फॉर इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, कुछ भी. मेंस 365 आई यूज्ड टू पिक अप, और सपोज इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस का मेंस 365 उठाया, दे विल गिव यू अ बैकग्राउंड, अ स्मॉल बैकग्राउंड, ऑल द एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ एनी पर्टिकुलर कंट्री के साथ इंडिया का रिलेशंस कैसे. जस्ट रीड एंड अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द कॉन्सेप्ट इज. फॉर एग्जांपल इंडो चाइना है. नाउ यू when you're reading it for the first time, you don't know what Indochina is. But if you pick up Mains 365, you'll see कि 3-4 पेज में they have covered almost everything that is needed for the exam. So personally, you don't need to go beyond that, because GS में, unless your optional is PSIR, I won't comment on that. But GS के लिए those 3-4 page notes are enough. You understand that this is the diagram, this is the entire context, this is the history, these are the current dynamic things. बस उतने से हो जाता है. This is what I have experienced, और उससे ज्यादा डेप्थ में जाना भी नहीं पड़ता है. तो
correct. I think last year I think Vision, when they started with the mains and pre-365, they did a very good job of collating stuff. And last year because you and almost all the rankers were kept on impressing the importance of PYQ. What you abhi bhi aapne bola, right? Ki always try to relate and see what is the closest PYQ which came from whatever op-ed, whatever thing that you read. So what we've started doing from 1st of March is that we do just one op-ed from Hindu, and I've shared the links for everyone on the message. And we pick up all the related PYQs, whichever is close to that, tangentially or directly. We pick that up and we put that out there, and then we give one mains question derived from that in the same language. So that one op-ed which you do in a day, and that means 30 op-eds in a month, are done in a very exam-oriented, practical manner, right? So no bullshit, just that. And there's some really good folks who are doing that, even aspirants who do these, make such collaterals, and we keep combining them here and there. And that way, like you said, this becomes very practical as a preparation funda. Unless to infinite knowledge are outside, since your time and now last 1 year, there are like 20-30 more channels which are out there doing daily news, and it's just abundance of analysis and opinions. So I think it's important to keep it very exam oriented. Otherwise, you can just get lost in the time.
Absolutely. And this is, I was not aware of this. कि इस तरीके से भी
we just started this on first. Abhi we just started this because there was no other way. You can make the best summary of an op-ed, but if you're not giving the flavor of PYQ, if people won't be able to anchor it, right? op-ed अच्छा है, summary अच्छी बनाई, but UPSC क्या पूछता है इस theme से? So for the beginner, I think at least that level of flavor is good to have. And it's a difficult task, but we're dedicating like 4 hours every day just to make sure that comes out. So great, like good point, and I just remembered that something we can add on to.
So this is actually very good. Suppose if, as you mentioned, कि ये already अगर available है, तो it's good ना, half your work is already done.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the
You don't have to
PYQ.
reinvent the wheel. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
The people who are already in that field, who have understood कि क्या चीज है, तो they have already done this. It's very nice. Instead of reading 30 op-eds every day and not getting anything कि UPSC इससे क्या पूछेगा, it's good कि आप पूरे month में 30 op-eds पढ़ो, but you understand कि इस टॉपिक से आज UPSC, मतलब अगर एग्जाम में होता है तो UPSC क्या पूछेगा. So I think
Right.
this is a great initiative, and I think it will help a lot of people, particularly the beginners who don't understand कि ये टॉपिक से कैसे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. सो दिस इज अ ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव रियली. I'm sure कि इसमें बहुत टाइम जाता होगा and efforts जाते होंगे
because marrying it to the PYQ ना, that's a difficult. Summary is still okay. You have to have good command in English and good academic knowledge. But PYQ से क्या सवाल आने, which is the closest resonance to that, is slightly difficult. And we've seen students जो आपने बोला first 3 months में भी, that is like a boon. कि you can't do all the research by yourself, but now you can get everything in one place. So I think that goes a long way to make sure that your preparation is always on the right, your coordinates are right, on the right navigation path.
Absolutely,
so great. I just wanted to add that. Sorry for the digression, everyone.
Please share a link for this so that people, if they watch this video and
I
they
did.
want
So this is, I shared a link. This is like what we did today. So PYQ relevance is, and then we started giving a mentor note, and then this is basic summary, which most of the good institutes and academies do. And once it ends, then we have a practice question, and then an approach to an answer. This is just free, so you can do it by yourself, make your own notes. No one checks your answer, but it just helps you do at least one op-ed properly, non-negotiable. This is for everyone. Great. So we're in the mid of. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think giving 20 minutes to this initiative every day would help a lot of people. This is a very good initiative. Please make note of this. Anyone who is different. I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were saying something.
No. I go ahead with the phase 2, 3 combined thing.
Okay. So for phase 2, I personally feel because optional would be very heavy in these 4 months, and it is totally fine even if you're giving 4 hours every day to your optional. So for GS, if you can just go through international relations, governance, and economics for now. And for all these things, I used to refer to Mains 365. That much is okay. And as you already mentioned, कि कहीं से भी if you get these 1-2 page notes, जहाँ पे static portion is given, a summary of what all topics, different dimensions is given, this much is enough. Please do not indulge into reading multiple books. It is not needed. At the end of the day, वो आपसे 15 marks का question पूछेंगे, 10 marks का question पूछेंगे, and you must know only that much. It's totally fine for now. Apart from that, once again, newspaper reading continues. Current affairs monthly magazine, or even if you're giving 20-25 minutes to the initiative, as you mentioned, in that case, you can even avoid the monthly magazine. It's totally fine to avoid it in the first 4-5 months. You don't need to know everything that is going on for now, because it won't be asked directly. For now, just understand that if I'm reading one topic a day that is going on in the news, how will UPSC ask it? So वो धीरे-धीरे वो time देना. For now is the time to build your base, to internalize कि पढ़ना क्या है और कैसे पढ़ना है. वरना अभी आप बहुत कुछ पढ़ो पर गलत पढ़ो तो कोई फायदा नहीं है उससे.
Right.
So this is it for June to September. Okay. Even here, avoid making notes. Just reading and understanding is fine. For optional also, because it would be your first reading, you're just understanding. If now you start making notes, you will be writing almost everything, which is not.
And abhi tak no answer writing to be attempted? You didn't attempt any answers or any kind of a long.
Yeah, personally,
in a way. No?
Personally, I feel for now, abhi nahi, because GS maybe you have not read itna ki you can write an answer. Optional maybe you are just reading you're understanding the concept. So even if you don't write any answer in the first 6-7 months, personally, I feel it is totally fine.
Okay.
But a disclaimer here is ki try to attempt prelims ke questions. You won't be able to solve them correctly. If you're attempting 10 questions or 8 questions a day, maybe हो सकता है एक सही हो, दो सही हो, कोई हो सकता है एक भी सही ना हो. But it is easier to attempt prelims के questions at this stage because now you have at least started to get a flair of things. मेंस लिखने के लिए you should have a deeper knowledge. You should know कि structure कैसा होना चाहिए. कोई भी topic पे you should have a good understanding. But prelims के लिए even if you have read 1 or 2 paragraphs about something, you can attempt a prelims question. It is not that difficult to do if you get an understanding. So once again, doing 5-10 questions every day or 10 questions in every 2 days prelims ka, it is totally fine. But for now, once again, I feel it is the time to build base, and it's totally fine if you don't write an answer. I did not, and I personally feel it's totally fine to not write for now.
Okay.
So
I have a question which usually aspirants have at this point of time. I mean, it's a common understanding that almost every topper, when they come to the game of preparation, they have some plus points, right? Some of them write very well even to begin with. So what were the advantages you came to the preparation with? Like, there must have been some, strong points because of which some things were not necessary for you. Like, one of the things was economics was your undergrad subject, so you did not need to go through the NCRTs and basics. Like, were you good at writing and so you avoided it? What about people who aren't able to put their thoughts properly? Would you recommend something to them? Anything, so that, we kind of have a very transparent and practical webinar.
Okay. Yes, that's a very, very valid question. And I think that it is a very valid question, not just because I had certain plus points, but I think almost everyone of us has certain plus points, which should be utilized. So मेरा पहले तो एक अच्छी चीज थी कि मेरा newspaper is something that I had always been reading. It's not like the first time I read newspaper was when I entered my preparation stage. So I did not take time to read newspapers. मतलब एक घंटे में I could read entire Hindu and even understand a lot of it. So
awesome.
That was because I had been reading newspapers.
Even Pratap Bhanu Mehta from Express you could understand in the first go. He writes usually.
I did not read, so I can't comment. I used to read Hindu, but there is a disclaimer that एडिटोरियल में बहुत बार होता था कि बहुत सी चीजों को गूगल करना पड़ता था कि अच्छा दिस इज समथिंग दैट मेंशनिंग व्हाट इज इट, बट दैट इज समथिंग दैट केम नेचुरली टू मी. आई यूज्ड टू एंजॉय इट इवन ड्यूरिंग माय ग्रेजुएशन. तो न्यूज़पेपर इज समथिंग दैट केम naturally to me. Answer writing, I would say that I used to love writing, but to be very honest, UPSC का answer writing is very different from normal answer writing or normal writing that we do. So so my content used to be fine. I had a flow. My grammar was fine. But the problem is that you should understand कि आपको जो पूछा गया है वो ही क्रक्स उठा के लिखना है, या फिर किस पॉइंट तक ही लिखना है, या फिर इस पॉइंट को कितना एक्सप्लेन करना है और कहाँ पे रुक जाना है. सो दीज आर द थिंग्स जो आपको यूपीएससी की आंसर राइटिंग में चाहिए होती है, विच आई डिड नॉट हैव. So just saying I was good at answer writing is not enough because it takes a lot of effort to understand what UPSC wants. I think this were यही था. Newspaper reading में help थी मेरी पहले से, and economics, as you already had mentioned, economics helped a lot क्योंकि already था. So I was almost very clear with the optional कि यही लेना है. Even though I still had certain apprehensions कि marks नहीं आ रहे हैं, guidance उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है, but I still went ahead with it and thought कि कोई नहीं, I'll enjoy it. I'll at least enjoy my optional. So
by the way, we can carry on with the next phase, but to everyone in the audience, if you have any specific question and the layered, the better, put it on the chat. I'll pick up a few and then I'll, share them with Vaishnavi as we end the webinar. So be descriptive, no judgment, just tell what you're struggling with, be as descriptive as you can be, and we'll pick it up later. Yes, Vaishnavi, let's proceed.
Totally fine. Just ask anything. We have almost all of us had been through the problems that you must be facing. So don't think कि हम कुछ भी अलग होते हैं. We all the rank holders were once aspirants and we used to struggle with these things. So we understand कि क्या problems आती हैं. So moving on to phase 3, this is October to December, and once again it would be very heavy. Here is, I feel, when your optional notes should be made. It's very important. to, because now you have understood the concepts. So what I used to do it in economics, because I made economics, so I'll be giving examples from economics. Suppose I have read one topic, so I should understand it so well कि वो एक A4 size की sheet में आ जाना चाहिए. The diagram, the data related to it, the points, the entire concept. So one A4 size sheet on both sides should have that particular topic, one topic. So this is how the notes should be. They should not be very huge, because if UPSC asks you a question on one topic, it will not give you a lot of space to present yourself. And if you have understood a topic, your notes should be very precise. So just take 1-page notes. If you want to see how notes should be made, please go through topper notes. A lot of toppers have uploaded their notes, and if you compare the notes of multiple toppers, you will find कि almost एक जैसे notes बनाते हैं. वो एकदम concise करके एक sheet में जितना छोटा हो सकता है लिखेंगे. Then they'll be writing examples. They'll be writing certain quotations. They'll be making certain diagrams and data. Whatever it is, just go through your topper के optional notes. Optional के toppers के notes हैं, जो भी GS के notes हैं. See क्या है. If you think that those notes are good enough, you can even take a printout of those notes and use them. That is also fine. If you think you're not able to understand उनके notes से, make your own notes. But make sure कि वो notes वैसे ही बने हो almost. मतलब एक sheet में बने हो, because you will not get a lot of time to make notes फिर से. And when you are giving your mains, like now you have to think, now is the time when you have to think कि you have to write mains this year. And when you have to write mains, you won't be having a lot of time in between your GS and your optional examination papers. So you will be so tired after giving 4 GS papers, 1 essay paper, and you will have, वो कहने को एक हफ्ते का ब्रेक होता है, बट इट इज नॉट अ 1 week ब्रेक टेक्निकली, क्योंकि उसके पहले जो कंपल्सरी वाले पेपर्स होते हैं वो होते हैं, और एक दिन तो आपकी थकान उतारने में बीत जाता है कि अरे 5 पेपर्स लिख के आए हैं, देयर इज अ कैलस ऑन माय फिंगर, आई डोंट वांट टू राइट मोर, आई डोंट वांट टू स्टडी मोर. This is very, very basic, very human. So you should make very good optional notes. And trust me, this stage pe, it is a very good test that if you can write one topic of optional in one sheet from both sides, it means that you have understood कि ये concept है, you have gone through PYQs, you have understood कि this is what UPSC will ask from this topic of your optional. तो वो अगर notes बन जाए ना, is the perfect test कि you have completed your optional अच्छे से. You have gone through PYQs, you have understood the concept, and your notes are ready. So now you are almost mains ready for optional. This is the first thing. But okay, so optional के लिए ये है, notes अच्छे से बन जाने चाहिए. GS के लिए once again जो कुछ टॉपिक्स बचे थे, जैसे इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, एनवायरमेंट, ये सबको आप फिर से वही, एंड वंस अगेन आई से वही मेंस 365 या फिर कोई भी जो ऑनलाइन मटेरियल अवेलेबल हो, इट्स वेरी इजी. इट सॉल्व्स ऑलमोस्ट ऑल योर प्रॉब्लम्स. यू डोंट हैव टू रीड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. कोई टॉपिक आपको नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, गो टू यूट्यूब, सी अ वीडियो. सपोज आपको एयर पोल्यूशन पे टॉपिक दिया है, एयर पोल्यूशन पे एक नोट्स बने हुए हैं एनवायरमेंट के, एंड यू नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये कैसे हो रहा है, व्हाट इज द एंटायर एंटी माइक्रोबियल रेजिस्टेंस है, ये जो टॉपिक्स हैं आजकल बहुत ज्यादा न्यूज में है. So if you're not able to understand कि ये कैसे हो रहा है, go to YouTube, watch a video, understand the concept, come back to whatever the text was, and then just either understand it, read it once, समझ में आ गया, you are done with that topic for now. One more thing in this phase, October to December, is ethics. For now, till now, ethics was almost avoided, which also made sense क्योंकि बहुत बार जब आपको बेसिक्स ही नहीं पता है तो what will you understand or what will you write in ethics? So now is the time when it is very important to start with your ethics preparation. Ethics के लिए just go through your syllabus first. And I think almost every video that you would ever watch for ethics, सब लोग ये बोलते हैं कि syllabus is the key. Take up one topic that is mentioned in the syllabus, understand it properly, watch videos, totally fine. I did not refer to any book for ethics. I used to watch videos to understand the concept, or just read the topic.
Okay.
And collect examples or quotations for that topic. एक तो basic notes होने चाहिए आपके पास. You should know कि वो definition wise कि वो क्या word है, उसका meaning क्या है. Then you should have certain quotations related to that particular word. you should cover certain dimensions related to that particular word. You don't need to go into a lot of technical details related to any topic, क्योंकि वो अब नहीं पूछते हैं. पहले कुछ क्वेश्चंस आए भी होंगे, बट अब वो नहीं होते हैं. बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बेस्ड और बहुत एनालिसिस बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं. दे नेवर आस्क यू व्हाट इज इंटेग्रिटी. मतलब इट्स वेरी रेयर टू आस्क व्हाट इज इंटेग्रिटी. वो इतना एनालिटिकल फॉर्म में इतना घुमा के पूछेंगे उस क्वेश्चन को कि इवन राइटिंग इंटेग्रिटी का डेफिनेशन इन इंट्रोडक्शन नाउ फील्स कि ये तो आप एग्जामिनर को बेवकूफ बना रहे हो. यू डोंट नीड टू इवन राइट द डेफिनेशन. नो, आपको अपने आंसर को इस तरीके से लिखना है कि एग्जामिनर को क्लियर हो जाए कि इनको पता है व्हाट इंटेग्रिटी इज. सो दैट्स द कॉन्सेप्ट. बट फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वो क्या चीज है. सो आई थिंक एट दिस स्टेज if I could go back and prepare for my ethics again, what I would do is I would take one ethics topic every day and understand it and make one page notes on that topic. Once again, I'll give you a disclaimer. बहुत सारे topper notes अच्छे से available हैं ethics के लिए भी. So you can just download those topper notes. You can understand कि वो उस topic पे उन्होंने क्या क्या समझा था. What did they read before going to sit for that ethics का exam. Another point is कि ethics में बहुत ज्यादा notes, बहुत ज्यादा text, बहुत ज्यादा information matter नहीं करता है. Because ethics में वो questions section B में case study है, and case study is largely कि you have to understand कि UPSC आपको as an administrator check करना चाह रहा है वहां पे, और या फिर as an ethical human being check करना चाह रहा है. So you can't make notes for case study and read and go and write. You have to understand the concepts. You have to practice a lot of case studies. You have to think in an ethical way, and then you have to write it. I'll come to ethics again. This is something that I won't be expanding a lot now. I want to come back to ethics. That I'll come after completing all the phases. But for now, you have to start your ethics preparation from October because it's very necessary. Another thing that I realized while reading ethics is कि ethics एक बार में समझ में नहीं आता है बहुत ज्यादा. मतलब you will read कि integrity कुछ होता है, honesty कुछ होता है, compassion कुछ होता है. These are before preparing for ethics, and at least this was with me. I can't comment for everyone, but this was with me. कि बहुत vague ideas होते हैं mind में. यहाँ honesty कुछ तो होता है, courage कुछ तो होता है, but when you start putting it on paper, that is when you realize कि यार I don't know what it is. I can't differentiate कि कहाँ पे compassion आ गया, कहाँ पे empathy आ गया, honesty और integrity में क्या difference है. So these are the things that we'll have to understand. और वो ना धीरे धीरे आपके अंदर imbibe होता है. So ethics preparation I used to enjoy a lot. But the thing is कि I used to give a specific time. मतलब ऐसा दिन भर में 20-25 मिनट्स जब बहुत थक गए तो एक टॉपिक एथिक्स का उठा लो, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या चीज है, एंड जस्ट रीड. अनदर थिंग इज कि once again I used to go through these ethics का वैल्यू एडिशन मटेरियल. ये भी विजन का अवेलेबल है काफी ज्यादा. तो इफ यू कैन नॉट फाइंड नोट्स एनीवेयर, वैसे तो काफी कुछ अवेलेबल होता है ऑनलाइन, बट इफ यू कांट फाइंड नोट्स एनीवेयर तो इसके एथिक्स के भी नोट्स अवेलेबल है. मेन 365 एथिक्स की भी है, तो इट यूज्ड टू हेल्प मी अ लॉट. बट सिर्फ उससे काम नहीं चलेगा, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. एथिक्स यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो वॉच सम वीडियोज, थिंक अबाउट इट कि हाँ अगर ऐसे क्वेश्चन पूछा गया या ये सिचुएशन है, दिस इज व्हाट आई कैन डू. तो एथिक्स यू हैव टू जस्ट स्टार्ट, गिव 20-25 मिनट्स, वन टॉपिक एवरी डे, दैट मच वुड बी ओके. वन थिंग दैट आई हैव टू ऐड राइट नाउ इज CSAT. Abhi tak
we're in the phase 3, end of the phase 3, right? We're towards the end of phase 3. Yeah.
Yes, we are in October to December wala phase. Why I added CSAT right now is that I have, at least for the past 2 years, 2022-23 wala CSAT paper, it is very difficult. And particularly for people who do not have mathematics background, it's very difficult. Even for people with mathematics background, they are facing a lot of problems. So my humble suggestion would be, give CSAT 2023 paper in exam hall setting to judge where you stand. Just one day randomly sit for 2 hours with an OMR sheet, thinking कि ये आपका exam है, just give it. If you are getting a comfortable score in it, fine. For now, you can stop. Then you can pick up CSAT in your prelims specific mode, when you shift to prelims only mode. But if you're not getting a comfortable score, now is the time to start CSAT as well. give half an hour every day or give 1 hour every day, understand CSAT के topics, solve questions related to it, solve PYQs related to it. Because once again, CSAT में there would be concepts that you can't cover in one day. There would be things that questions you won't be able to solve in one day. तो उस समय क्या होता है ना, इतना प्रेशर बिल्डअप हो जाता है एंड यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग कि अरे आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड सो मच, बट सीसैट की वजह से रुक सकता है, 67 मार्क्स लाने में दिक्कत हो सकती है, या एक क्वेश्चन भी गलत हो गया, छूट गया तो दिक्कत हो जाएगी. सो आई थिंक if you're not very comfortable with CSAT, this is the right time to start with your CSAT, because trust me, it will take some time to develop if you're not very comfortable with it. Now is also the time to start collecting quotations, good examples, opening for ethics and essay. I'm not saying ki sit and go through a lot of content online. You read a particular article in newspaper जिसमें बहुत अच्छी ओपनिंग दी थी या बहुत अच्छा कोटेशन दिया था, just jot it down. If you're making digital notes, make it. I had a separate folder called quality enrichment folder जिसमें I used to collect these things. और last में it becomes very easy because essay के लिए and even ethics के लिए आपको बहुत ज्यादा फिर पढ़ना नहीं पड़ता. You just go through that quality enrichment folder and you find a lot of examples collected for a very long time. So this is a small thing that you can start doing in phase 3. I'm largely done with October to December phase. If you have any questions, just ask once. Otherwise, I'll shift to the next.
I think in the interest of time, we should shift the phases faster because people have a lot of detailed questions. So,
okay, so I'll just go to phase 4. Okay, so phase 4 is January to February. January and February.
okay.
Now is the time to make notes. Optional, you have already made notes. It's fine. जो भी optional के notes बने हैं, it's fine. You should start revising those notes as well. Another thing is कि optional के लिए you should, मतलब January to February, my personal thinking is कि this is the time to go with your answer writing, because now your notes are done, and when you are revising now, you should go with shorter notes. तो अभी तक या तो आपने notes बनाए नहीं हैं या तो बनाए हैं तो बड़े notes बनाए हैं. So my idea used to be कि every time that I revise a particular topic, उसके नोट्स छोटे होते चले जाने चाहिए. तो सपोज अभी मेरे पास 2 शीट के नोट्स थे, अब वो 1 शीट का हो जाना चाहिए. बट सिंस अभी तक आई डिड नॉट सजेस्ट एनीवन टू मेक नोट्स, नाउ माय सजेशन वुड बी कि नाउ व्हेन यू आर रिवाइजिंग योर जीएस, you should make 1-page notes for GS topics as well. Just revise what you had already read and make 1-page very small jotted notes. If you're making digitally, it's totally fine. You can add on बाद में. If you're making pen paper notes like I used to make, my suggestion would be कि A4 size का sheets लेके आप free sheets पे रखिए so that you can add on later.
Okay.
January, February, as I'd already mentioned, answer writing is important now. What I used to do I used to write, I did not attempt full-length tests before my prelims. So before prelims, I used to pick up, मेरा ऐसा divided रहता था every day कि today is the day that I'll be giving to optional answer writing, या today is the day that I'll be giving to ethics answer writing, today is the day that I'll be giving to this particular GS answer writing. तो उसमें क्या होता था कि I used to pick up 5 GS questions. अब वो PYQ से हो सकते थे या फिर जो करंट अफेयर्स के अवेलेबल होते हैं क्वेश्चंस, बहुत सारे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स डालते हैं कि दिस इज द डायनेमिक टॉपिक दैट इज इन न्यूज राइट नाउ. Pick up the question, they make questions, just pick up those 4-5 questions. So ये होता था if it is a GS day. Optional के लिए I used to go through PYQs के ही questions because particularly in economics optional ऐसा होता है कि PYQs is the best source. If you don't have tests available, pick up PYQs. And what I used to do is कि section A and section B का 1 question from section A and 1 question from section B. Just pick up randomly, write it, and another thing is please write your answers in time-bound manner. Do not think that I can sit and write for half an hour. या फिर starting में चलता है. I never crossed timeline for how much time an answer should take. So starting से I had divided कि 10 into 7 minutes for 10 markers और बाकी remaining time 11 minutes for all the 15 markers. इस तरीके से डिवाइड करके had already divided. तो whenever I used to attempt a 10 marker question, I never used to give myself more than 7 minutes. आ रहा है good, नहीं आ रहा है it's totally fine. Time is when I have to improve. मतलब वो time limit is the periphery जिसके अंदर I had to improvise on my quality. I can't compromise on time. So this was my basic idea for answer writing. In January, February, I think this much is fine. Just shortening your notes, making very refined notes, and answer writing. PYQs are very necessary, very important, especially for optional and for certain subjects in GS. If you cannot do a lot of PYQs, at least go through past 3-4 years of PYQs. Try to write answers to them. It is very important. Then is phase 5, which is March to May. This would be your pre-focused, prelims focused stage. This is the time, I think I'll just take 5 minutes to discuss prelims separately. So I'll just quickly finish off with phase 5.
And this is for 2024 folks also, right? Relevant for them as well, right?
Prelims ke liye that's why I've kept it separately, March to May, because 2024 wale people will also get a lot of benefit out of this. I hope that they get a lot of benefit out of this. Phase 6 is, of course, June to September. That would be mains focused. I hope most of you clear prelims and have to utilize this phase 6 as well. This is the time when I used to go through value-added material. Toppers notes available होते हैं. A lot of toppers put their value-added material online. उसको download कर सकते हैं. Otherwise, once again, बहुत सारे. अच्छा, another thing is, please do not get drowned in the swarm of all the extra material that you are getting. If you think कि कोई भी topic पे 3-4 examples, you're having 3-4 examples, you're having some amount of data, some amount of diagram, please stop at that time. You should. So I'll give you an example. I made 1-page notes for NGOs, and NGOs is something that UPSC repeatedly asks in some way or the other. What I used to do is that I had bulk of examples. मतलब 20-25 NGOs के नाम याद कर लिए, वो किस चीज से related है, सब कुछ कर लिया. But I used to realize कि question वो पूछते हैं, so I cannot, in the actual examination, I'm not able to write more than 4-5 examples. So you have to understand कि आपको बहुत आता भी होगा, तो भी आप लिख नहीं पाएंगे बहुत ज़्यादा. So please keep yourself limited. You should know when to stop. Otherwise, you are obviously eating out on time and space and energy from other important topics as well. और एक आंसर आप कितना भी अच्छा लिख लेंगे, you won't be getting 12 marks or 15 marks on that answer. So you have to understand balance कैसे बनाना है. It's very important. Phase 6 में daily answer writing is something that I used to do after prelims. Instead, what I learned is that instead of writing one full-length test in 20 days, it's better to write 4-5 answers almost every day. ये prelims के बाद वाला है stage. So this is what I used to do. और once again, one thing is sure कि जितनी भी बार revision होता था, I used to shorten my notes. So जैसे I told you, I mentioned कि 2-page के notes हैं, so I'll in the next revision I'll put it into 1 sheet. If it is a 1-sheet note, the next time I'm revising, it should come into just half the sheet. The next time I'm revising, it should be 1/4 of one side of the sheet. Or last ke liye, it should just be diagram and data. I'll just scan through it one day before exam and just go. Because those are the only things that will make your answer stand out. And those are the only things that you would be able to read before walking inside the examination hall. Most simple data bana liya.
Is there any chance you have access to your own notes as of now, and that we can share with some of the candidates?
Today, I don't have, but I can share it with you for sure. I can share it. I'll have to contact back home, get some photographs.
Awesome. No, if it's not much of a work, then I mean, because the kind of progression that you're talking about, right, with your notes, first notes, second notes, and third, which are finally, I'm assuming just a post-it size note. That is something which I've seen a lot of rankers do. And one of the questions which I usually ask rankers, ki ab sab kuch to hai, all material is there, everything is almost for free, every test series is available on Xerox, then what is the difference? And they mentioned either one is getting mentored by the right kind of a person, or second, your own notes should progressively be shorter and shorter and crisp, not a word-wasted style pe. So if you can get a chance to get your notes scanned or in some way, we would love to share it with the Janta so that they get to see them.
I'll make sure to do it. In fact, I'll make sure कि एक टॉपिक उठा के उसके वो जो 4 layers थे नोट्स के, कि फर्स्ट लेयर में कैसे टॉपिक 2 पेज में लिखा है, फिर वो कैसे 1 शीट में आया. I'll try to do it.
I'm talking about this because, you know, this year, like right from December, we started collating notes of the rankers and the best material among them. We started making basic columns and tables around what your last revision notes would be. And it just so happens because we're talking about it, let me just share it just for a second. And I'm sure a lot of you people have gotten the free copy of Flash Notes. So we did this. We kind of, tabled the heck out of everything on history, polity, economics, everything. And we created these booklets which have columns and, people who are on the Zoom can see on their screens. And we kind of put everything in perspective so that your last revision should be like this. And if you want to make your notes, use them as base and then make your notes on top of these. So this used to be wars, year, fought between, victor, causes, details, every micro detail which you can get is available here. Now, depending upon your reading and revision phase, you can just make it more and more enriched. Anyone who's still here on the webinar, and it's been 1 hour plus, and kudos to your sincerity towards your own exam that you're here. I'll request my team to share a free download link for this so that you can get our free polity. And usually we, share it only with our paid students. But, given that we have 77 plus folks, it's great to have you here. So let me know if you guys want this and we'll share the link. But I'll agree to your funda. Please do share at least one theme which you've progressively done better. And we'll love to share it with the students again.
Absolutely. And this is some really great work. It's a humble request. Please make very good use of these notes. I can vouch for it that a lot of effort is going on to create.
Yeah, I mean,
please make good usage of it. And if you are not very comfortable with these notes, you can make your own notes. By taking these notes in the base, it would be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Just take these as base and then make your own notes. That's what we always subscribe. So Vaishnavi, whenever you get chance, just one theme and tell us the evolution of an aspirant's maturity, because that would be wonderful for all of us to understand. The reason why we requested you to come on this webinar was because in earlier times, toppers used to just gloss over their preparation day and, maybe write a blog here and there. But, it's very great to see someone giving practical examples and, admitting their mistakes, then telling what the way out was and how difficult is that way out if you haven't done the thing right in the first beginning. And that kind of makes it very human, the preparation, which I think is the most beneficial to the students.
Absolutely.
Great. So
one thing that I would want to add to phase 6 is, and something that I used to do, can I just continue for 10? I think I'll be able to wrap up in 10-15 minutes. Is that fine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I did not want to constrain myself within 15-20 minutes, because I thought that if I'm going on a platform, I should be totally honest, and I should also keep on mentioning things that I face, problems that I face, so that people can relate to it and feel कि नहीं, इससे भी overcome किया जा सकता है, या इतनी बेवकूफियों के बाद भी clear किया जा सकता है exam.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. I remember one of the things you said in the first one real was that I think your mother told you कि बेटा धीरे धीरे करके step by step, and you just keep doing the right things and it gets better and better with time, right? And so I was really looking forward to this detailed webinar with you. And I am sure all of us are awake here, right? Ma'am can go on for the next 10 minutes also, right? You guys are cool for that? Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the patience that everyone is showing. I'll just try to cover up in 10-15 minutes, largely that. One thing that I used to do in phase 6, that's just before prelims, just before mains after prelims, is for the first thing that I used to do in morning every half an hour is to revise that quality enrichment folder. I mentioned about a quality enrichment folder in the October phase, that now is the time when you should start collecting good examples, good quotations, and also very important topics from your optional, data, diagram. These things I used to put in a quality enrichment folder. And I'll also try to share some of my notes from the quality enrichment folder so that everyone who's listening to it has an idea of what I'm talking about. So what happened is that these examples, these quotations, they got ingrained in my mind. So even if I'm writing a polity answer and I feel that it would be good to conclude it with the quotation, क्योंकि वो आता था तो वो अपने आप आ गया. Otherwise टाइम नहीं होता इतना कि आप सोच सकेंगे इसमें कुछ artistic करके quotation लिखा जा सकता है. Same goes for ethics. I concluded almost all my ethics answers, section A, section B, with a quotation, and I used at least one example in every point that I was trying to make in ethics. So ये अपने आप नहीं आता है. You will have to read and reread, and you have to collect a lot of examples and quotations. So please try to do that. This is the first thing that I used to do every day, prelims से mains के बीच में. Apart from that, we shortening the notes and a lot of answer writing. These are just the three things, very simple, after prelims, before mains. Just three things: revise your quality enrichment folder, shorten your notes, and obviously when you're shortening your notes, you are revising your notes, and write a lot of answers. I think this is what all I did for before the time period from between prelims and mains. Now,
Awesome.
as I already sorry.
No, great.
Okay. Thank you. Now, as I mentioned that I'll talk about prelims and about ethics. So I just want to cover that in the next 10 minutes or so. In prelims, these are the things that I've actually jotted down. So there are two things for prelims. It's the basic is that it's a very difficult stage. I won't deny it. It is perhaps the most difficult stage of the entire UPSC examination process, because one answer here or there and your attempt is gone. This is what I have personally realized. So it's very important to be in a mission mode when you are preparing for your prelims, and also be very calm and poised when you are sitting for prelims examination. So I'll just quickly go through these things. Before examination, please read your PYQs very well, analyze them well. Another thing is, it is very important to not ignore options that UPSC gives in MCQs. There are multiple examples wherein you will find कि इस ईयर में कोई क्वेश्चन आया है, उसके ऑप्शंस में कुछ पूछा है, और नेक्स्ट ईयर उस ऑप्शन से क्वेश्चन बन के आया है, या फिर 1-2 साल के बाद ऑप्शन से क्वेश्चन बन के आया है. सो योर ऑप्शंस आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Make analysis notes of your PYQs. So I had 30-40 page के self notes analyzing the PYQs, and I used to revise those analysis notes as well. ताकि PYQ सिर्फ एक बार पढ़ के आप उसे छोड़ नहीं सकते हैं. It's very necessary to keep revising what was asked in previous years. Then when there is last 2-3 days before prelims, what I used to do is कि just pick up past 2-3 years के UPSC papers and solve those questions. Even if you had already solved them, obviously you must have already solved them. You must have already analyzed the PYQs. This is what I used to do. Why? Because it gave me a lot of confidence कि चलो question solve हो जा रहे हैं, अब तो हो जाएंगे. And second is कि it used to put me into this mode कि UPSC ही उसी लैंग्वेज में या फिर उसी तरीके से क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहा है. सो वो काफी हेल्प हो जाती थी. लास्ट के 3-4 days don't pick up questions. This was my personal idea कि not to pick up questions from any coaching institute. Just pick up UPSC के questions and do them. Another thing is, please solve your test all the prelims tests that you are giving. Please solve them as you would do on actual UPSC day. If you cannot solve a 2-hour paper, 100 marks, take 50 questions, solve them for 1 hour, or take 25 questions, solve them for half an hour. It's totally fine. But when you're solving them, solve them in a time-bound manner. I'm particularly emphasizing on time-bound manner because starting में हम लोग बहुत लीवे दे देते हैं खुद को. कोई बात नहीं, 3 घंटे में solve करेंगे, 4 घंटे में solve करेंगे. But it doesn't work that way. You have to work under the pressure of time. वो उसमें आपका माइंड कैसे परफॉर्म कर रहा है, दैट्स व्हाट यू हैव टू ट्रेन योर माइंड. दिस इज व्हाट आई यूज्ड टू थिंक. सो आई नेवर गिव माई सेल्फ लीवे ऑफ टाइम. टाइम इज द मोस्ट crucial thing when it comes to UPSC examination. Apart from that, solving prelims paper in 2 or 3 iterations, that's very important. कि आप एक बार में ही उसको पूरा सॉल्व करने की कोशिश मत करिए. Solve it once. Try to solve all the questions that you understand. Pull out options that you think that you are sure would not come or would not be the right answer, and then leave that question for now. Come in the second reading to that, come back to that question in the second reading. You will solve that question in 5 to 6 seconds. You won't take more time than that. Another very important thing, and this might sound like a very small thing, but anyone who has given the exam would relate to it. If your examination center would be at a place जहाँ पे बहुत गर्मी होने वाली है. I have given all my examinations in Delhi, and May, June is super hot there. So what happens is that you sweat a lot, you lose a lot of water, a lot of salt, And it is very natural that your mind will slow down on working. You'll start feeling tired, you'll start feeling nauseous. So keep hydrating yourself when you are waiting to go inside the examination hall, and B, when you are giving mock tests at home as well, try to switch off the fans or do not sit at least in a very comfortable position, because you won't be getting a lot of comfort when you're writing your prelims examination. I think personally, what I feel is that even if you solve at least 10 to 15 questions every day when you are in the prelim specific phase, it would help. If you think that I can't solve an entire paper today, just solve 10 questions. It's totally fine. Your mind should know how to work, how to think, how to apply what you have already read. Another very important thing that I read somewhere is that it's not the topic that is being asked in the question that makes a question tough. It is the options that make the question tough. So in the first two stages of my first two attempts, what I did is I used to see the question कि ये topic आया है, ये topic तो मेरे को आता नहीं है, and I used to tremble with fear कि ये क्या हो गया, ये तो आता ही नहीं है. But after giving two attempts, I realized कि options तो पढ़ लो पहले. Many a times options इतने easy होते हैं कि you can just eliminate them. You can understand कि नहीं ये तो सही नहीं होगा. So it's the options that make the question tough. Do not think कि ये question difficult है, and just try to solve it.
That's a beautiful line, actually. I'm very mature.
But it's not mine. It is not mine. I don't remember where I heard it, but it was some topper interview or some topper webinar that I had been sitting on the other side and I had copied it. Another thing is that even if you're giving one paper a week, it's totally fine. But don't postpone your analysis of the mock test that you're giving. What people usually do is they give a lot of tests, but they don't analyze the mistakes that they're making. It's stupid to expect different results when you're making the same mistakes again and again. So please analyze the mistakes that you're making. CSAT, please do not ignore. It's a huge mistake to ignore CSAT. On the day of examination, your calm mind is the biggest weapon. You cannot control what questions would be asked. So I used to meditate, not बड़ा मतलब ऐसे बहुत टाइम तक बैठ के मेडिटेशन करना, but I used to take 4-5 deep breaths before opening the paper. कि okay, this is what it is. I can do it. I have studied enough. And if 12,000 people clear it, I would be one of those people who would be clearing the examination. I used to tell this to myself, फिर आगे देखा जाएगा जैसे भी होगा. Another thing is that when we are solving papers in our mock test, we all make this idea कि ठीक है पहले पूरा paper ऐसे पढ़ना है, and then I'll fill OMR, then I'll come back. So वो एक mechanical way of solving develop हो जाता है. Please do not change that in the examination hall. If you have a mechanical way of solving the paper, please follow it. Experiment with जो experiments करने हैं वो आप options को eliminate करने के लिए, questions पे करने के लिए, वो सब में करिए, it's totally fine. But don't change your mechanical way of solving the paper. Number of questions कितने solve करने हैं, I personally, this is something that is very different for everyone, and this will come only when you solve a lot of mock tests. Personally, I always used to solve more than 90 questions, but I cannot generalize it, so I won't. My humble suggestion would be just solve some mock tests. You will understand how many questions you need to solve to hit that target. I think this is it for prelims. Even for
That's
other
awesome.
things,
I think Vaishnavi, we'll just pause it for a while and let me just share some of the questions which students have asked, some of the ones which are, I think, have a larger appeal.
Yes.
One of the curious question was that how were your optional marks across your attempts, or when you did qualify, how much did you get in economics optional?
Okay. Yeah, so this is a very good question actually, and I was about to come to this. So 2019 attempt में, I don't remember the exact marks, but it was less than 260. I think it was somewhere around 250, 254 ऐसा कुछ था, and it was not very good. 2021 attempt में it came down to 237, which is again very bad. जो last attempt था उसमें I got I think 276 or 277. I don't remember the exact, but once again it was less than 280. but it was around 276, 277. So personally, my record on optional has not been very good. But since I managed to cross 270, it served me well, and thankfully my GS and ethics interview in particular saved me and
How
made
much
me
did you
get.
get in the interview?
I got 193.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
really awesome.
interview saved.
Okay, one more question. Sumit, I think, asked this a while ago. He said that some of us it would be very difficult for us to pen down our thoughts. मतलब पता तो होता है सब कुछ, but to pen down the thoughts into the main answer within all the constraints, that's not an obvious for people, most of the people. And you also mentioned that even though your writing was good, but mains answer writing is an altogether different ball game. So if you remember any example from your preparation days, कुछ वैसे करके बताओ कि क्या लिखा था and then कैसे improve किया, something which can visually or viscerally tell the जनता कि this is how you should improve, or things that you can do to improve.
हाँ, तो जैसे आई थिंक आई हैड ऑलरेडी मेंशन कि बहुत बार ना आपको किसी चीज के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता होता है एंड यू सी दैट टॉपिक इन द क्वेश्चन. जैसे एनजीओ का टॉपिक आ गया, यू हैव ऑलरेडी रेड सिविल सोसाइटी के बारे में बहुत कुछ पढ़ लिया है, एनजीओ पे स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया या एसएचजी पे पूछ लिया, ये बहुत रिपीट होते हैं. तो अब आपको आता है, सब कुछ आता है. एंड व्हाट आई यूज्ड टू डू इज, आई स्टिल रिमेंबर एक एसएचजी पे क्वेश्चन आया था एंड आई फिल्ड हाफ अ शीट विद इंट्रोडक्शन इटसेल्फ कि ये स्टार्ट हुआ था इस टाइम पे, फिर बैंक लिंकेज प्रोग्राम आया, फिर ऐसे ऐसे. नो, दिस वाज नॉट नीडेड. द हिस्ट्री इज नॉट आस्क्ड इन द क्वेश्चन. So eventually, when you write an answer and when you read it, eventually you start realizing कि ये mistake है. Now I'll give practical example what I used to do. कि I used to download topper answer sheets available. और वही क्वेश्चन जो किसी टॉपर ने अटेम्प्ट किया है, and the disclaimer again goes कि please choose the answer sheet of a topper from the year that they have topped and वो पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट में जिसमें उनके मार्क्स अच्छे हैं. सो लर्न फ्रॉम द बेस्ट. बहुत सारे लोग हैं, लर्न फ्रॉम द बेस्ट उस फील्ड में, उस पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट में जो अच्छे हैं. उनका आंसर शीट है पूरा. यू टेक अ क्वेश्चन, यू राइट दैट आंसर and then you compare your answer with the answer that topper has written. You will understand कि डिफरेंस क्या आ रहा है. अपने आप आपको डिफरेंस समझ में आ जाएगा. स्टिल अगर आपको वो डिफरेंस नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि क्या गलती हो रही है या क्या कमी निकल रही है, so there are certain platforms available जो कि they check daily answers. Even if you send them 1 or 2 questions every day, they check it. So it's totally fine. You can use good usage of platforms as well. I think that satisfies. This is what I used to do.
Yeah. This satisfies that. Rest, I think all of the questions we've already answered in detail. One last thing before we part ways is that you've had a really long journey with your preparation. What's that? What are the few things outside of your acads that you used to do to keep the, I would not say motivation, but let's say the tempo up? What were the things that helped you? Because it was a long journey.
So actually, I made notes for this as well, but because the first part itself stretched a lot, so I could not come back to these things. But one thing that I realized after my 2 attempts is that दो चीजें हैं. या तो आप बिल्कुल परेशान रह के ये जर्नी को कंटिन्यू करो. सो दिस इज नॉट माई आइडिया ऑफ डूइंग एनीथिंग. इवन इफ द डेस्टिनेशन इज वेरी गुड, इट इज नॉट वर्थ इट इफ यू आर नॉट एंजॉइंग द जर्नी. दिस इज व्हाट आई टोल्ड माई सेल्फ कि करना तो है, और करना है तो खुशी से करेंगे इसको. तो आई आइडेंटिफाइड कि प्रॉब्लम्स क्या क्या आ रही हैं. वन प्रॉब्लम वाज दैट आई वाज स्केयर्ड ऑफ द अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी ऑफ द एग्जाम. तो इंटरनलाइज कर लेना चाहिए कि ये अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी रहने वाली है. इस बार एसए में गुगली आएगी, एक बार प्रीलिम्स में गुगली आएगी, कुछ भी हो सकता है. तो आपको वो अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी जब आप एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हो, बिकॉज यू कांट चेंज इट, you can't change the pattern of the exams that questions that UPSC will ask. So accept the unpredictability. Another thing is practice. You cannot make this exam easier, but you can make yourself better. So practice and practice and practice, and you will improvise. One thing is that have healing breaks. My pattern of study used to be 50 hours ka padhai and then 10 minutes ka break. Listen to music, watch movies. I watched 50 K-dramas while I was preparing for this examination. So I used to watch
50 K-dramas series, you mean?
50, yes, Korean drama web series. My idea used to be कि ये मेरा 9 hours का study schedule है. I'll complete this study schedule, and then my gift would be one episode of a K-drama. So every
Awesome.
night before sleeping, I used to watch one episode. Do anything that makes you happy. Do not quit your hobbies. Another thing, please keep a very healthy lifestyle. Eat good food and talk to good people. ये दो बहुत important चीजें हैं to heal yourself. So do anything that helps you to heal. You need to make this exam very sustainable. The preparation very sustainable. If you don't do it, it's very difficult because you will collapse. And for most people, it is a journey of multiple attempts. Even in the batch that currently is undergoing the training, the average number of attempts is 4 attempts. So
Really?
yes, it is. So almost
In
most
your IAS batch, right? The ones you're left right now at Labasna?
yes,
Oh
the
my
average
God.
number. So
But that explains a lot. You know, almost every topper that I've had a chat like this with, they share their very, very highly matured notes. And they're like, the only thing left is, I think it was Nipa I was speaking with, she's your batch IPS. You're saying that we have to become so curious about the preparation that, that spark should not go away. Otherwise, it just keep bog you down and, this might just catch up the whole preparation journey. So you always have to stay curious and be on your feet and then, kind of make it fresh, keep it fresh.
Matlab, you have to make yourself happy with things because otherwise itna pressure ho jata hai. I still remember before walking inside prelims examination hall, I used to listen to BTS songs. या फिर मेंस के हॉल में जाने से पहले आई लिसन टू नाटू नाटू, वो उसी समय आया था एंड आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर
Yes.
स्टैंडिंग आउटसाइड द एग्जामिनेशन हॉल एंड लिसनिंग टू नाटू नाटू एंड देन गोइंग
What did
इनसाइड.
you do for the interview, Vaishnavi? Like we're in the last leg of this webinar. How was your interview? And how cool and composed you were? Because that was like your, I think, 5th attempt. So पूरा baggage भी आई रहा होगा अभी तक का, and it was like a must have been a do or die thing back then.
Yes. So it was my this attempt was my fourth mains and my no sorry it was my third mains and was my second interview. I have written
Okay,
4
okay.
attempts, but it was my third
Yeah.
mains and second interview. So
Okay.
in the first interview, which was previous year, I was a bit nervous, to be very honest, and it started on a very bad note. The first question itself, the chairperson told me bluntly on my face that no, I'm not satisfied with your answer. That was the first question, and I sat there. Almost my tears were on the
Okay.
verge of coming out, and I just told myself, okay, calm down, calm down. This is the first question. This is the chairperson. You cannot angry her. I said, ma'am, may I attempt it again? She said, okay. Once again, she said the same thing that no, I'm not satisfied. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I understand that I might not be I might not be giving very satisfactory answers. I'll be thinking more on this topic. So she moved on. I got fairly fine marks. I got 173 in my last attempt. But one thing that I realized for the next attempt is that because what happened is that this was the first question, my confidence levels dipped. So in the next attempt, as I told you, कि unpredictability को ही accept कर लेना. I was ready कि कुछ भी पूछा जा सकता है और कुछ भी हो सकता है. So in the next attempt, I was more calm, more composed. Once again, I sat outside the interview room. I meditated, told myself I'll be the best version of myself. I have prepared enough. I'll be doing it very well. So I went inside. I still remember I went inside. The entire interview was going very well, very well. I was actually very happy. The chairperson was fine. I thought, okay, chairperson is fine. 2 members asked me, and then the third member started grilling me like anything. He started telling me on my face that this is not what you'll do. That is not what you'll do. And I was calm. I was calmly answering. Then the chairperson interrupted. She said, sir, she'll be taught all these things during the training. And I was so confident after that. So I think perhaps वो जो एक आइडिया था कि काम और कंपोज रह के जाओ एंड ये सोच के कि वहां पे आपसे बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस लोग बैठे हैं, सो दे आर नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग यू टू सॉल्व ऑल द प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. दे जस्ट वांट यू टू नो एंड टू हम्बली एक्सेप्ट दैट ठीक है ये प्रॉब्लम्स हैं एंड दिस इज माय वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट देम एंड इफ गिवन अ चांस दिस इज व्हाट आई विल बी डूइंग. So I think वो हम एकदम humble होके काम होके जाना works for the interview.
Awesome. Okay, I think we covered almost everything and a lot of things in great detail. Just as a final thing, and it's like an idle curiosity for me. How was your experience in the academy, or how is it right now? I've been hearing it's very hectic, and you guys are learning all kind of coding language and whatnot. Uh,
Oh.
did you get any insight about key training rigorous क्यों होती है? What is shifting? What has shifted from previous years to now? What's the focus of the government with the bureaucrats? मतलब what kind of I would say orientation we guys need to have who are aspiring to actually perform well in the service as well.
So there are two, three things. One is that don't think that once you are inside the service, you are done. You
Okay.
have to, this is one service where you have to keep working hard and you have to learn a lot. Almost all the seniors that come to take our classes, they tell us ki even if it is law, you should know more than the lawyers.
Oh.
So yeah, and not just law. This because IAS is such a generalized service. You have to look after almost every dimension. So they
Hmm.
tell us that you have to go in depth of almost everything that you would be encountering with. So one reason is this कि you now वो जो एक halo effect होता था पहले IAS के पीछे गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट्स के पीछे स्पेशली IAS के पीछे वो अब नहीं है. Now you are scrutinized by everyone and very repeatedly. Another
अच्छा.
thing is कि India is currently entering the Amrit Kal. तो वो जो
Hmm.
time है पूरा कि we want to become a developed economy. So a
Hmm.
lot of diversification is coming into the way. Now, if
Okay.
you are at the helm of affairs who would be deciding public policies, who would be allocating resources, you must be knowing a lot of things. And
Hmm.
you must be at par with the best brains of the country and also internationally. Because
Hmm.
अगर आपको इतने सारे decisions लेने हैं about people, about resources, about finances, you should know what is going on. तो बहुत ही rigorous diversified training रखते हैं. In fact, one thing that since you already mentioned coding वगैरह, so we have artificial intelligence, machine learning, data programming classes almost every day. One class तो हो ही
Wow.
जाती है. We had an artificial intelligence machine learning module. तो उसमें we had rigorous econometrics, regression, everything. So we used to ask this question to ourselves कि इसका हम क्या करेंगे, ये पहले हुआ. But when they started telling us कि if you cannot analyze the data, how are you supposed to make policies? If you do not understand the depth of problems,
Hmm.
if you do not understand how artificial intelligence or machine learning or these new technologies that are coming in can help you solve the problems, how do you expect to make the public sector at par with the private sector and also at par with the international competitive space?
International.
So we need to.
Beautiful. I think you know what we should have these sessions more with the rankers because this kind of motivates people like nothing else. Especially with the new outlook that we have with Amrit Kal entering in, and I've been speaking with you guys, so बताते भैया बहुत hectic है, and it's all worth it, and it's like days after days. It's so nice to see, uh, how the scheme of things is unfolding at your end. Thank you, Vaishnavi. I'm sure everyone enjoyed thoroughly. Would be great if you could write, your gratitude note or whatever happy note here. It's been 1.5 hours. Vaishnavi, you must be so tired now. Thank you for taking time out. Thank you everyone who's been here. Videos तो सबके off ही रहे, but lovely to have you here till this late. If you have any question, drop in on this, and I'll take it offline personally. I'll try to take it personally, or if there's anything specific, I'll relay it to Vaishnavi, and then we can give you an answer.
Actually, it helped me energize a lot. I had an entire day.
Yeah.
4:35 is when our classes ended, and our morning session starts at 6. So 6 to 5:30, it was it was a very long day. But I was looking forward to this session because I actually wanted to uh, discuss and jot down some of my learning since it has been a long time.
Same here.
So
Same here. अच्छा एक और सवाल है किसी का. तुम्हारी CGPA कितनी थी कॉलेज में? You did economics honors from. So where did you do your undergrad from? Like a very quick
Shriram College
thing.
of Commerce. I did economics honors from Shriram College of Commerce. It was 8.5 CGPA, I think, yes, 8.5.
Awesome. And I remember you were a topper in school, right? Throughout. And you mentioned it was UPSC been a humbling experience. Yes. So anyone who's not seen the raw and real video of Vaishnavi with me, type on the YouTube Civilsdaily raw and real and Vaishnavi, and you'll get that. That's more of a candid. That's not academic. That's more of this overall, UPSC, how it was, etc., etc. But it's very nice to see that perspective of a ranker as well. Thanks, Vaishnavi. Thank you again for the time. I'm happy that this chat energized you. Everyone who's here, all the 60 plus folks, amazing guys. I'm sure you're very sincere and committed to this. जो भी 2025 में attempt लिख रहे हैं and they want to have a separate chat, drop in a note. And like I said, I'll try to give you a call.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for all the patient listeners. Thank you. And I'm really sorry if I had gone overboard with something or had missed out on certain things. And as Sir mentioned, if it is a very pressing query, I would love to get back to it. Thank you so much. All the best to everyone. I'm sure you all will do wonders. All the best. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Take care, guys.